There are wounds that don't bleed, but still ache to the core. There are sorrows that have no name, yet weigh heavily on your heart for a long, long time. And then, there are days when you feel like you're slowly dissolving, unnoticed, unseen, unheard. If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. We all have moments when we shatter. An unexpected event, someone leaving, a dream falling apart, a phase that feels impossible to get through. You try to cope, you try to hold on. But the more you try, the more exhausted you become. And in the quietest of nights, you suddenly realize you're not the same person anymore. But you know what? Rebirth isn't about going back to who you were. Rebirth is rising from your own wreckage, carrying your scars, but with a heart that's softer, truer, and braver than ever before. Rebirth is accepting that some things will never be the same. And yet, you choose to keep moving with whatever you still have left, no matter how little, no matter how unsteady. No one wants to hurt. But it's in those moments that feel unbearable that we learn the most about love, about resilience, and about what truly matters in life. You don't need to be strong right away. You only need to give yourself time to feel, to mourn, to fall apart. Because that too is part of the healing process. There's no path to the light that doesn't first pass through darkness. There's no rebirth without some kind of loss. Tears, surrender, and sometimes letting go of a part of who you used to be. Imagine a seed. Before it can grow toward the light, it has to crack open, face the darkness underground, and find its way through the stones, all on its own. You're the same. You're learning how to live again, from a place that once felt hopeless. And no matter how slow that journey feels, no matter if it seems like you're going backwards, it is still part of your rebirth. If your heart feels too fractured, if it feels like you're surviving more than truly living, then give yourself permission to rest. Not to give up, but to pause and listen to yourself. Let the tears fall. Not because you are weak, but because you are brave enough to face your pain instead of running from it. Let your heart speak. I'm hurting. And know that you don't need to justify that. You don't have to pretend you're okay. You don't have to force a smile. You don't have to hide the cracks. Because true rebirth begins the moment you dare to look at yourself, with all your truths, both beautiful and broken. You don't need to return to the perfect version of yourself others might expect. You only need to be honest with yourself, and that is already the bravest thing. I know. There are pains that feel like they will never fade. But think back. How many times in your life have you told yourself, I can't make it through this? And yet, you did? How many times did you think you'd completely fall apart? And yet, you stood back up. Your body, your soul, they hold a resilience deeper than you know. And if today you feel fragile, that is not the end. It is only a quiet chapter before you begin writing the next part of your story. Did you know? Even in your darkest days, there are still signs of life. It might be a morning when you unexpectedly wake up earlier than usual and realize the sky looks clearer than it has in a long time. It could be the moment you cry in the middle of a crowd, and for the first time, you don't feel ashamed. Or the time you feel so tired, you don't want to do anything. Yet you still make yourself a warm cup of tea. Those little things, seemingly ordinary, are proof that you are alive, that you're walking through the pain, step by step, and that you're healing. You don't have to wait until you're completely okay to begin again. You can start, even from within your wounds. Picture a forest after a wildfire. Everything looks dead. But then, one day from the ashes, a tiny green sprout begins to rise. Quietly, humbly, yet full of pride. Your heart is the same. Though it may be covered in scars, though it's been brought to its knees, it still beats. It still loves. It still hopes, even if only in the faintest ways. Maybe today you're not ready to love again, to trust again, to dream again. That's okay. Rebirth isn't about rushing forward. Rebirth is when you dare to stay with yourself, even when everything feels messy, uncertain, and unclear. Rebirth is when you stop comparing your journey to someone else's and start listening to the quiet rhythm of your own life. Rebirth is when you look at your scars and instead of rejecting them, you learn to touch them with kindness. Remember this: healing doesn't come from denying the pain. It comes from embracing it and saying, I still love this life, even though it once hurt me. You don't need a grand reason to begin again. Just one gentle thought. I deserve another chance. And then day by day, you'll notice the light returning, not blinding, but soft, like the morning sun filtering through a window. If you find yourself lost, pause. Take a deep breath. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, I'm still here, and that's already something beautiful. You've overcome more than you know. You're stronger than you think. And there's still a journey ahead, one where you get to rewrite your story with honesty, tenderness, and deep gratitude. Finally, if there's one thing you carry with you after all this, let it be this. Even in the pain, you can be reborn. Not because you weren't hurt, but because you chose to keep living with all that your heart has been through. Because you chose the light, even when darkness still lingered. Because you chose love, even after being hurt. And because you are still you. Beautiful, imperfect, but full of hope. And if today things still don't feel okay, that's all right too. Just take one deep breath and remember, rebirth doesn't come from forgetting. It comes from continuing to live with a heart that dares to love again.